The last laughter. There is a story about 3 monks. No one knows their names because they never shared, never responded to anything. In China, they're simply called the 3 laughing monks. Their only action was to enter a village, stand in the marketplace, and start laughing. Suddenly, people became aware and joined in, creating a chain reaction. A crowd would gather, and just by observing them, everyone would burst into laughter. What's happening? The whole town would join in, and then the 3 monks would move to another town. People loved them a lot. Their only message was laughter, not teaching, just creating a joyful atmosphere. Then they became famous across the country, the 3 laughing monks. The entire nation loved and respected them. Nobody preached in this way, that life should be filled with laughter and nothing else. They weren't laughing at anyone but laughing as if they grasped the cosmic joke. They spread immense joy across China without uttering a word. When asked for their names, they'd just laugh, hence becoming known as the 3 laughing monks. As they aged, one of the monks passed away in a village. The whole village anticipated weeping, something unimaginable for these monks. The village gathered, and the 2 monks stood by the corpse's side, laughing deeply. Villagers asked, "Please explain this, why are you still laughing?" For the first time, they spoke, "We're laughing because this man has won. We always wondered who would die first, and he defeated us. We laugh at our defeat, at his victory. Living with us for years, we shared laughter and enjoyed togetherness. The only way to say farewell is to laugh." The village felt sadness, but when the monk's body was placed on the funeral table, they realized that not only were the living monks joking, the deceased monk was also laughing. He had instructed right before his death, "Don't change my dress." Instead of the conventional bathing and clothing change, he said, "I've never been unclean. Laughter kept me so pure. Don't bathe me or change my clothes." To honor him, they hadn't changed his clothes. During the funeral, they discovered he had hidden many things under his clothes, setting off Chinese fireworks. The village laughed, and the living monk said, "You rascal. You've died, but once again, you've defeated us. Your laughter has the final say." Sword hanging on head. Once upon a time in India, there was a revered yogi named Janak. People in India had respected him for ages because he was unlike anyone else. While many spiritual leaders renounced their worldly possessions and kingdoms, Janak chose to remain a king in his palace. A young seeker was instructed by his master to seek initiation from Janak, as the last step before renouncing the world. The master, acknowledging his lack of worldly knowledge, believed Janak could provide insights. Though hesitant, the disciple followed the advice and reached Janak's palace. Upon arrival, Janak welcomed the young man to his court, filled with festivities and dancing. The disciple was perplexed and couldn't understand why his master had sent him to a place seemingly contradictory to spiritual teachings. Disturbed, he intended to leave, but Janak insisted that he stay for at least one night. The disciple was provided with comforts, yet his unease persisted. He couldn't comprehend the lavish surroundings, given the teachings he had received. That night, as he lay on a luxurious bed, he noticed a sword hanging above him by a thin thread, causing him great distress. Sleep eluded him, and fear gripped his thoughts. In the morning, Janak inquired about his night's rest. The disciple expressed his discomfort, emphasizing the looming threat of the sword. In response, Janak shared his own perspective. He highlighted the fragility of life, comparing it to the sword hanging by a thread. He explained that, despite residing in a palace, the awareness of death made him non-possessive. The king acknowledged the presence of death, emphasizing that everything in life is temporary. Janak embodied the essence of non-possessiveness, redirecting his energy inward and gaining profound insights into the nature of existence. Through this awareness, he faced the source of life, recognizing the divine essence within himself and all of creation. Yayati and God of Death. There's a beautiful tale, a great story about Yayati, a wise king. He was getting old at 100 years, a good age to be ready to leave. Yet, the desire for a renewed life was still there. When death approached, Yayati knelt and pleaded, "Give me just 100 more years. It's not much for you, and I haven't fulfilled all my desires. I never considered you before, I was just preparing. I've conquered the world, amassed riches, embraced beautiful women, raised intelligent sons, built the best army, everything set. I was looking forward to relaxing and enjoying. Is this the right time? I spent these 100 years preparing for this moment. Spare me 100 more so I can live to the fullest." Death chuckled, "I'll give you 100 more, but I'll need to take one of your sons. I must go with someone resembling you, if not you, then one of your sons. I can't go empty-handed, I have to report to my boss. He'll ask, 'Where is Yayati?' What will I say? It's unprecedented, but I feel sorry for you. Just choose one of your sons." Yayati had 100 sons from many wives. He asked his sons. The oldest was 80 and hesitated. He'd only lived 80 years, if his father wanted 100, he deserved at least 20 more. In those days, people lived 100 years. He stayed silent to avoid hurting his old man. Yayati was shocked. He thought his sons would be willing to sacrifice for him, but in reality, no one is ready to sacrifice for others. His sons looked at each other, silently saying, "Why don't you go?" The youngest, just 20, stood up and said, "I'm ready. Take me with you, I'm coming." Even death felt sorry for the boy. "Are you a fool? Your brothers, aged 80, 75, 70, 60, 65, 50, aren't ready. You're the youngest, barely lived at all. Why are you willing to go?" The young man replied, "If my father and brothers couldn't live to the fullest in 100 years, it's useless. I don't want to waste time. If I have to die, better now. Why wait for 80 years? If they couldn't manage, let my father try 100 more years." Death tried to persuade him, but he didn't listen. Death had to take him. 100 years later, Yayati faced death again, pleading for more. "I should be ready now, but nothing's fulfilled. All desires are the same. I've lived them all, yet I want more." After 100 years, a new desire arises, one more time, 100 more years, just once more. This cycle repeated. When Yayati reached 1,000 years and death returned, Yayati was about to fall at his feet. Death interrupted, "Wait, enough. Can't you see, Yayati? Are you so blind? You've lived 1,000 years, doing the same things repeatedly. No progress. Now even my boss is angry. He says, this is too much. This man has had enough time. I wanted to see what you could make of 1,000 years. But you're in the same place, going in circles. Go with me now." Alexander the Great. There's a tale about Alexander the Great. He sought something to make him live forever. Many search for such things, he looked, and eventually, he reached a cave. A wise man had told him, "Drink the water from the stream in that cave, and you'll become immortal." Maybe Alexander was a bit foolish, many Alexanders are. He should have asked if the wise man drank from that stream. But he didn't ask, he was too hasty. Who knows? He might not make it to the cave before he dies, so he rushed. In the cave, he found crystal clear water. He had never seen such water. Ready to drink, a crow in the cave warned, "Stop. Don't do it. I drank it, and I am suffering now." Alexander asked, "You drank it, what's the suffering?" The crow replied, "Now I can't die though I want to. Everything is finished. I've experienced all life can give. Love, success, I was a crow king but now I'm fed up. Everyone I knew has died and rested, but I can't. I've tried to end it, but nothing works. I can't die because I drank from this cursed cave. It's better if no one knows. Before you drink, think about my condition, then decide." Alexander, for the first time, thought about it. He returned without drinking from that cave and stream. Life would be unbearable without death. Love would be unbearable without its opposite. If you couldn't separate from your beloved, it would be unbearable. Everything would become monotonous, creating boredom. Life thrives on opposites, that's what makes it interesting. A servant in Baghdad. In Baghdad, a wealthy merchant sent his servant to the market to buy food. The servant returned frightened after a short while. "Master," he exclaimed, "I need your best horse right away. I must escape to Damascus to avoid my fate." Curious, the merchant asked, "What happened?" "I saw death at the marketplace among the sellers," the servant explained. "He looked at me angrily and started moving toward me. Please, lend me your best horse so I can run away to Damascus and be safe." Being a kind man, the merchant lent his best horse as requested. He then went to the marketplace himself to check if the story was true. Indeed, death was there in the crowd. "Why did you threaten my servant?" asked the merchant. "I didn't show any hostility," Death replied. "I was just surprised to see him because I have an appointment with him tonight, in Damascus. You can't escape. Your death awaits you wherever you go. It might be delayed, but what's the use? Instead of delaying, why not take this chance to realize death is approaching, that it's on its way, and any moment it will come. Don't ask for a horse, don't try to go to Damascus. There's no escape. The only way is to rise above, not to run away."